With shaking nerves, you sat in one of the security offices of the mega pizzaplex. Soon the entire place would go dark and reroute its energy to the charging stations, and that meant that a certain animatronic would be let loose. This happened a few times every night and would last for a full hour. With a shaking hand, you grabbed your novelty Fazbear mug and downed the rest of the energy fizzy fizz you had put into it. The extremely sour drink had an almost lethal amount of caffeine in it. In other words, it had the maximum amount of the stimulant the company was legally allowed to get away with. This also made it illegal to sell more than 250 milliliter cups to a customer per day. Over your 3-year employment at the restaurant, however, you had built up enough resistance that you could safely drink about half a liter of it. And you needed it for what was about to come. You set the mug on the table and walked up to the security door. To prepare yourself. Soon it would open. The security doors of Fazbear Entertainment, utilized in every franchise, used an electrical lock mechanism that would unlock in cases of energy loss. This was to ensure fire safety. This function could be disabled using a security tablet. And then, the place went dark. The doors opened. Immediately your body was shooting out adrenaline. The office you had been inside of was located above Roxy Raceway. This was due to that certain animatronic. He practically needed to traverse half of the pizzaplex now. Your first goal was to rush towards the Raceway Diner. While the building inside the building was completely closed down, there was a dumpster you liked to jump into. The staff bots removed the trash from it at the beginning of your shift, after all. So outside of smell, there was nothing for you to worry about. Gently you lifted its hatch and quietly closed it once inside. It was silent. Dead quiet. You rubbed your eyes, trying to focus. The ungodly amount of caffeine and sugar inside you made you want to jump around and sing stupid songs, but you really couldn't afford that. Finally, you heard him. That evil laughter. The daycare attendant in his night mode. I know you're here. You knew that he was able to float atop the ceiling using a rope system that was connected throughout the entire pizzaplex. After all, the moon attendant was designed to support the night guard during the blackouts, as about half of the cameras were non-functional. Inhaling quietly through your mouth, you risked the quiet noise of you pulling out your security tablet, quickly cycling through the available cameras. Licking your lips, you found your opportunity. The animatronic was looking for you on the racetrack, lifting the fake rocks in the hope to find you under one. Taking this opportunity, you left the dumpster, making sure to make as little noise as possible. Sadly for you, you needed your security tablet, which was also connected to his own security system. Which meant, while not knowing your exact location, as long as you had the tablet with you, he'd know in which room you'd be in. Hence why you tended to hide from him in the larger rooms. Through twists and turns, you ended up in the atrium. As a quick distraction, you set the holographic performers to be activated about 5 minutes after your arrival, as Moon was already in hot pursuit. With your heart jumping out of your chest, you risked hiding in a nearby photo booth. As you could already hear the elevator to the atrium being used. How this thing was so fast you didn't know. Quickly you pulled the curtain on your new hiding spot and put your legs up, feet pushed against the photo booth's walls. Seconds turned to minutes. And then the music from the stage began to blast. "It's past your bedtime," laughed the robot as he immediately rushed upstairs towards the DJ station that controlled the performers. You took a deep breath, an idea forming inside your head, and then left the photo booth. As quiet as a church mouse, you snuck up on the animatronic. Once you're behind him, your mind raced. This was a dangerous maneuver. "I can smell you. Where are you?" he muttered. "Oh, can you?" you thought. And then you lunged. The robot screamed in fear as you pinned him to the ground. "Nah, what is this?" he shouted, before turning his head 180 degrees to look at your grinning face. "What are you doing, Night Guard?" You shrugged. "I don't know. Sitting on you?" Moon hummed angrily. "I wasn't aware that this was a rule in hide-and-seek. Scaring the seeker to death, I mean!" You giggled. Ever since you started working night shift, more specifically, ever since Vanessa vanished and your manager decided to save money, you just put the other day guard to the night shift. Meaning you. Brian, your coworker, was pissed when he heard the news, but not so pissed anymore upon seeing the money he was making now. Essentially, half of Vanessa's pay was now shared between you and him. You were trying to waste time during the long night shift periods, so you and Moon had decided to come up with a game of hide and seek every time there was a blackout. "This was so cruel!" shouted the robot as you proceeded to get off of him. You shrugged and smirked. "Well, you know, kids are cruel, and I'm very in touch with my inner child." Moon hissed. "I can see that." Moon turned around, arms crossed. "Come on, Moony. It wasn't that bad." "You scared me." Quickly you wrapped your arms around him from behind. "Oh, don't be like that, Moony. I was just having fun." You put your head on his shoulder. "Besides, you scare me whenever you find me. This was payback." He murmured something you couldn't make out. "Let me guess, you were looking forward to that face polishing I promised last time. Right?" He shrugged. "You didn't win. To me it seemed like you gave up as a joke." Smirking, let go of him and took a step back. "Oh, Moony. You really want that polishing, don't you?" The animatronic shrugged. "See it as a good service for me, and a nice surprise for my other half." You sighed. Fine. Let's go to parts and services. As the two of you wandered, he struck up a conversation. "Why is it that you gravitate towards me?" You shrugged. "I like you, and Sunny a lot. You two have this... How do I put this nicely? You thought for a moment. This crackhead energy that I find absolutely adorable. Moon's face made a 360-degree turn. He was offended.
What does that mean?
He growled.
I'm built to entertain toddlers,
he proclaimed proudly. And you sighed in defeat. Well, I read the customer reviews. You aren't that entertaining to them. I think actually they're a little afraid of you. He scoffed.
That's because they're naughty little brats who refuse to follow my rules.
You smiled.
I was built to keep order during nap time. I was built to help you defend the Pizzaplex from intruders during blackouts. I'm doing my job as good as I can.
A little too good. Sighing, you commented simply, yeah, and you're doing a really good job at that. He snickered. The daycare attendant had issues with sarcasm, probably seeing what you just said as an actual compliment. After you entered parts and services and the animatronic laid down on the operation table, you prepared the polishing machine, putting a soft wool brush on it. As you approached the animatronic with a smile, you simply asked, "Should I turn you off, or do you want to remain online?" Moon looked away, and you tilted your head. What? Are you getting shy on me? Should I not polish your face after all?
Usually Kevin does this.
You shrugged. And?
He's a guy. A girl never polished me.
You raised an eyebrow. Wait, is this some lewd thing to you? His head shot towards you.
What?
You shrugged. Just asking. Geez. He looked away. That's a yes. The animatronic grumbled. It's fine, I can use one of the arms of the protective dome.
Just do it.
Are you sure? The animatronic nodded. Shrugging, you proceeded to put restraints on him. His hands tightly gripped the table as you turned on the polisher. You never polished something before. Not sure if you put too much pressure on it, or not enough. But then the daycare attendant began to groan. For a second you retreated. You okay?
That was good. Keep going.
You blushed. He sounded really excited. Flustered, you continued polishing him.
Push harder,
you shouted after a minute.
I want to be shiny, factory new.
The attendant sounded so needy. It was kinda hot. Finally, getting over yourself, you pressed the polisher harder onto his face. His own head pushing against you like an needy cat deceiving pets. After a few minutes of him desperately squirming under you, however, you stopped.
What? Why did you stop? I was starting to enjoy it,
he asked. His face was quite shiny by now anyways. Hour's almost over. His head made a quick 360 turn. He looked away.
I had fun tonight.
You smiled as you unlocked his restraints. Me too. Once he was back on solid ground, there was one more thing you wanted to do. Mooney, before you go back to the daycare, He turned to look at you, head tilted to the side.
Yes, Night Guard?
You step closer, wrapping your arms around his hard animatronic body.
This really is unnecessary, Night Guard. It's not like tomorrow I'll be scrapped.
I know, you muttered. And then you kissed his freshly polished forehead. He purred in enjoyment.
This really is not necessary, but thank you.
He hushed. Your lips felt hot against his sensors, but it made him feel pleasant and happy. The animatronic melted into your touch and wrapped his own arms around you tightly. And for a moment it was difficult to breathe. But before you could complain, he already let go.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow, Night Guard.
He chuckled, and then left, waving you a quick goodbye.